Yo, so for those who don't know, I am D.Villeny, and I may owe y'all an explanation. Now, originally this was going to be part of a huge, massively big GOTJ slash the Naught drop first episode vlog I was going to do, that we were just going to go in depth on everything, my backstory, my relationship to the Juggalo culture, experiences and stories from the gathering, my feelings about the original six and the new deck, all building up to the one thing that y'all really want to hear about, which is how a random ninja feels about the new sixth. And I have a mantra I am trying to go by as I start this new creative venture that I'm on. And that's to just be positive, to try to, not shit on things, not put a hat on a hat by shitting on shitty things. So I'm only going to talk about things that I like, and if I don't like it, I'm not going to talk about it. So with that being said, surprisingly and maybe controversially, I did like the Naught. Now, that being said, like I said, the original six are always going to hold a place in my heart. And for anybody that's that came in during that time, before the sixth or during the sixth, is always going to have a link to that, an emotional attachment to that, that's going to be really hard to replicate. I came in at the tail end of the sixth, like right the week of the Shangri-La drop, and into, between that and Hell's Pit. So I got to catch a lot of the flavor at the tail end of it, and really be there and get to see what the hype was. Even though I wasn't there for the whole build up, I got to hear stories about it, and even that time period in between was still diamonds raining, there was green, but there was a lot of fun things happening, and it was still all family, and it was fun, and that feeling carried over for a while. So I'm trying to do the quick version of this for multiple reasons. There will be a long version. Just to really get into it, is, like I said, I did a full-length version. It was really amped up by the beginning of it. Did not realize how long it was going to be, how difficult it was going to be to edit something that long. And when you go back and watch it, you can just see my momentum start from here to here. It's about the second half of it, just worn out and frustrated. But I promised myself I would not give up. I guess I was kind of motivated by the new sixth drop and the gathering feelings. I think I was really on a bipolar manic swing that just happened to cross the intersection at the same time. In my head I was like, this is the dark carnival talking to me, and it says it's time for me to put the OG Juggalo opinion out there, and in a positive light. I will say I still feel that way, though, that there's a void where some optimism could be, and I just don't want to be another clickbaity picking sides type thing. Honestly, and this has happened a lot in politics and comedy and whatever kind of podcast you're listening to now, everybody has an agenda and opinion, and they've gone from being just ninjas giving their side of it to being pundits almost, and feeding into the echo chamber and the agenda, and having these ulterior motives behind it. I don't want none of that. I just want to talk about the things make me happy, hopefully make you happy, and we can share that. So yeah, like I was saying, so I had a connection to the first deck, and with the second deck, I'm not gonna admit I got a little, like everyone did, got a little shaky, especially when they said that this was the second deck. At first, we got the Tempest, and that was experimental, and then they said the Dark Carnival's coming back, which we got excited, and then boom, bang, pow, boom came. And eventually we find out this is a Joker's card, and then the first in the whole deck, which really kind of leaves a salty taste in your mouth if you're an OG. But for the newcomers, it gave them something they didn't get to experience before, which is the feeling of a card drop. And that's where I kind of did starting to soften up to the idea, because around that time, like I said, this time I've been down for a while, at least since 03, and I met my old lady, my rest in peace, Lacey. She was my juggalette, my buggalette is what I like to call her. Like they say, I got Nedden waiting on me up in Shangri-La. Jay always says his is dedicated to the butterfly, mine's dedicated to the bucklet. And she came in, literally, we started dating at the beginning of 2010, New Year's of that year. Amazing. And so, she adapted very quick to the music and the culture, and went from loving like Lil Wayne to Tech Nine almost, overnight, and not in like a fake way. I didn't try to force it on her, but it really grew on her. And then once she wanted to hear about, the fucking Joker's card and all that shit, I was ready. And she was down with it. And so she didn't get to have to wait long for her first card drop. So boom, she got bang, pow, boom. And it was like, it wasn't my ICP, but it was new to her. And it was her, that's what her ICP was, and she loved it. And there were good tracks on Bang Pow Boom. It was different, but Juggalo Island was our fucking soundtrack for that summer. It was our graduating year. We went out and had bonfires and fucking just had a good time and bumped that album. Even went to the show. It was actually my first ICP show, and I'll get into that. And I've got a whole backstory and like a Juggalo origin story that I'm gonna want to share with y'all at some point. And we'll get into that. But again, this is the meat and potatoes. This is giving y'all what y'all want. So, I have my feelings about the second deck, and just like the Tempest before it, they're all albums that felt experimental, but the more that I got time away from them, when I go back, I actually softened up to them. Around the Mighty Death Pop is where I really started to drop out. Like, we're just doing onomatopoeias now. And as I went back, I listened to those and the Missing Links, which I really didn't like the production originally on those. And now I'm starting to really like Lost. I just always felt like it was another take on the Wraith, on trying to do Hell's Pit and Shangri-La again, which it kind of was. And honestly, I just feel like this deck should be juggled up a little bit. Maybe the Missing Link should be at the end. And I also feel like the Naught it feels like the album that should have came after the 6th. It'd be perfect because it is the other side to that coin. I honestly thought the whole reveal behind the Naught was gonna be, it's not the 6th, literally. That it would just exist in its own void. And especially when you're doing an album about nothing, that's why some people feel like it is kind of hard to pin down. But I would say that it has a theme, and it sticks with it, which is something I haven't felt from my ICP album in a long time. It's dark, and it's wicked, and it's true to form. It's back to form. And it gives me something I haven't felt from ICP in a long time, which is it really has a feel to it. My thing with this album and with the Naught was something I've said about a couple things lately, especially when it comes to like reboots and nostalgia, is that like Superman, the new Superman is a great example. I really liked it. You know, you can't go in with these high expectations that this is gonna be, you know, the savior. This is gonna be just as big as the new Sixth, you know, or just like Superman, like, oh, this has got to be the building block to an entire franchise. It's got to be the best ever. It's got to reshape. No, that's not how I feel. All it has to do is win me over. It's just gotta make me believe that that there's still there's something left there, that that the old ICP I know and love is still there, and if you can win me back, then that makes me optimistic for the next deck. It doesn't mean this is the last one. And just like Superman, like, it's a fun movie. What both of these things did is they understood the assignment. They came in and they did it, you know, in different ways. And again, it does feel experimental. It kind of feels like a bizarre album or something they would have done in between, like The Calm and the Tempest. But at the same time, like I said, it did something it hasn't done in a long time. Is it brought a feel and a darkness to it, and it stayed with it throughout the whole thing, most of the thing. A lot of people kind of pointed out the overuse of the reverb, but I liked it. It gave it an echoing and haunting feeling, a nothingness, a void. I loved the deep bass. I really liked the idea of the flashbacks. It made it feel like a real underground baby. My only, you know, disappointment was that the first track, you know, wasn't a regular intro. You know, that's the one place we could have used a little exposition, and they could have done the flashback thing in it. It would have been cool to tilt it on its head, but we didn't get that exposition. Jay having to explain it at the gathering or at the seminar, and them explaining it in the promos, but then not actually doing it in the intro, that this is for the people who don't believe. And, you know, I mean, it's apparent. The message is clear, but usually that's what Joker cards are known for, is their amazing intros. And I just feel like, you know, there are some old school fucking feels to this album, and you know, the only slip up I really felt like was at the end, because, you know, to compare it to the Sixth, like I said, is the other Six is, you know, it's not fair. But that last song, you know, even if it's not the unveiling, look at the Underground Baby. Like, I would have rather had Flashback 3 than the song they did at the end of the album. That was a track 12, not a last track. I mean, some of the songs I get, like, okay, Softy Pillow Man, Cinnamon Pigtails, they're definitely different. But when you go back and look at the second deck, they are in line in the second deck. When I first thought about these, I was like, these are way too experimental. Why are they on here? But when I think about the second deck, it is true that a lot of it is kind of trying to stick to a modern theme. There's been other songs, even if you take it down to like To Catch a Predator, they each have to deal with kind of the internet age. And Jay has in the past described kind of the catch-22 of having to be at this age in midlife and having to write for 16 and 17-year-olds or people that are basically kids. So, you know, without using using his daddy brain, but more of an older brother brain, or, you know, just like a old school ninja trying to kick, you know, knowledge, and do it in a fun way. That is kind of part of the second deck. So I see where those can fit in there. So like, I get some portions of it. Yes, I do wish it was darker, but there are some things that feel like 90s. Honestly, it gives me a very, like, Wicked or KOD, where the theme stays strong pretty through to it. I mean, I'm gonna try to go down the list of tracks here just off the top of my head, but like I said, the flashback was cool. It could, you know, I liked the real underground baby feels of it with that in the bass, the intro, the Naught, you know, gets the point across and doesn't overdo the exposition like they have done with some like Missing Links and in the past with Fearless Fury. That old school Wicked shit is a fucking standout. Of course, it's a banger. That gave me whoop whoop feels from Wicked. Just the J line about, you know, grow my dreadlocks back out and drop fuck the world too. That was great. Falling is good. There's one of the songs that might be Falling where, oh, I'm Still Breathing is a great one. It almost feels like the adverse to Suicide Hotline, where like all the shit's going wrong in my life. Suicide Hotline's like, I'm gonna end it. I'm Still Breathing is like, all this shit is going on wrong in my life, but I'm not gonna let it kill me. I'm not gonna let me take it out. So, you know, and I'm gonna post a longer version out, and I'll hit all the fucking tracks one by one. That's where some of the grievances do come in, though. When you are doing an album about nothing, some of the tracks might feel skippable. But going back, the more I listen to it, the more the song catch me, and I feel the feel of it. Again, maybe the tracks need to be jumbled up. Dead Kelly is fun. It reminds me of the adverse of In My Room. But yeah, I mean, it's got a great album cover, and I'm just, like I said, it makes me optimistic for what's to come in the future, because for the first time in a long time, I felt like we got a little bit of the old ICP back. I mean, Shaggy's spitting fire. He's gotten great over the last few years. He's gotten better. We got some old school fucking J style vocals, which, you know, like I said, it's still in there, man. I feel like a lot of that is owed to Mikey Clark. He tapped into it, and I kind of feel like if we would have had him for the full album, we might have gotten even something better. But I heard My P came back, and a couple other people came back, so that, I mean, that's cool. I really like the direction that it shows there's still more to be done. And honestly, the last thing I have to say, that the only reason I feel like the albums or the music might have felt a little subpar, and this is not just on them, but this is the music industry in a whole. All the artists that we listen to, like Tech, I love. Twisted, I love. I don't pick sides. I feel like streaming has really fucked things up for us, because aside from fucking doing shows nightly, which they're almost all getting too old to do without like Jay's body's physically breaking down, you know. Aside from that, the only other fucking source of income that's not merch like is doing songs. You're not gonna make recording albums. You're not gonna make a lot of money on Spotify. It's just not there. You know, you're getting pennies on the dollar for songs. So what do you have to do? You have to drop an album at least once a year. You know, like look at Tech, he has to drop 2 a year. Twisted, they drop 3 projects a year. ICP probably really spends the most time in between it, and I think that's the only thing that really holds this album back. And a lot of albums and artists projects over the last couple years is the fact that they have to constantly be put on an output. I feel like this whole second deck has succumbed to that, because if you look back at it, that was another big reason why I thought that a Naught was gonna be not the 6th. Sorry, we're sorry if we tricked you type thing. Because when you look back between the time between Jekyll Brothers and the fucking Wraith, I mean, you had Bizarre, 2 fucking double albums in between, and a fucking Lotus album. They did all that and took an 8th month hiatus just to get ready for the 6th. I mean, they had all this time to build up ideas and what it was gonna be, and even get their aesthetic, new paint, new look. Jay got healthy. I mean, all these different things. They had time to really toy with I mean, they even flipped the whole, it was supposed to be Hell's Pit first and then Shangri-La. I think, I honestly believe the Hell Cellar songs might have been originally wrote before Shangri-La, and they realized, we can't start it out with Hell's Pit. We've got to go with Shangri-La because it's just more of an upbeat note. And, yeah, so all artists, you used to be able to drop an album, and as long as it sold well, you know what I'm saying? You didn't have to fucking sell a platinum album, but as long as you sold some albums, you had, you know, you went on tour, you sold merch, you had a good, you know, 2 years in between to work on your other projects and to really give it thought, record your songs, and fucking, you know, take the ones that didn't fit and put new ones in between. Tech is a perfect, another example. Look at, I mean, if you look at the time between Angelic, Absolute Power, there's a big period between Ever Ready, and even when he kicks it back on after Ever Ready and what he went through to get there, the time between Killer and KOD is still like 2 or 3 years. Now, Tech's dropping a project, you know, collabos, EPs, 2 or 3, and Twisted will have one, you know, and it's all comes down to, if you want that passive income and you're dropping on Spotify, you at least have to be putting 2 albums out a year, because you're making pennies on the dollar. So, you know, 40 fucking tracks, say you make you know, let's say it's even if you're lucky enough to get like 500,000 hits, maybe you're making fucking $1,000 a song. What's that? Fucking 40 grand off of 2 albums. And I know I'm just like talking out my ass on the numbers there, but what I could say is it's not the money they were making before, even independently. We all know these artists literally make pennies on the dollar, and you know, one album can't fund the next album. Now, you have to put a whole bunch of shit more into it before you do it. And so that's why, like, even when I go back and listen to the Missing Link, and then you'll see like the Missing Link cuts that were fucking great. Half of the best stuff ICP, I feel like, has put out is stuff that has not gone on the Joker cards. The Phantom EP was one of my favorite EPs. I felt like the Yum Yum lore was better. All that shit in between that felt like didn't get finished till after would have made great albums if you would have took off, took off what you felt like was filler and put in place all the songs that really were good and had those feels. You would have taken an album that was a 4 out of 10 and at least got it to a 7.5, 8 out of 10. They just would have had more time. And the rollout on the Naught, that was my only thing with this, is like it just felt way too quick. It felt way too rushed, even though they had a good concept, a decent concept for it. I felt like with more time in between, if they would have had the time and the leisure to put 2 years into it, and it just helps with the promo and the build up. They should have had one gathering in between, and it kind of hurts them to. It felt like it hurt them to drop it during the gathering, because you don't have the whole gathering where you're hyped up for it, where they could do a seminar hyping it up for it and do 1 or 2 tracks, and it's just like everyone's just getting to hear it as it's going, and then everyone's got their own takes on it, and some people, whatever. So yeah, but I honestly gotta blame streaming for that. It's making the artists have to live hand to mouth, and I feel like not to get to put as much creativity or really sit on it and think about it before these albums come out. And especially with the fact that fucking Jay and Shags have this 665 thing planned out. They got 5 more decks they want to drop. Of course it's gonna feel rushed. My only hope is that by the last one, I think if we God willing, Carnival willing, we get to the 5th one, they will absolutely take some time in between to really feel it out and feel the fan base. But again, I feel like we're starting off on a good track, and honestly, it's why I do things like this, and I want to see juggalos and real juggalos and let's give their feedback, and not in a shitty way, because if people hear that, they're going in a good direction, we want to hear more of this, it gets around, people hear it. Shaggy's fucking mentioned, juggalo vloggers and podcasters in his most recent, and his kind of disappointment with all the negativity. And we see that, obviously, I'm gonna get into this later, but we see that there's fucking influencers and social media fucking people out there at the gathering, and half of them are not us. They're not the real people, and they're not really saying anything, contributing anything to our culture. So, much family love to the real ones doing it, regardless of what your take is. It helps. It helps to have a real fan, member of the family or whatever, given real criticism, preferably, for our sake, constructive. But however, if someone doesn't like something, that's their opinion, and that helps too. It's all constructive criticism, really, depending on how it's taken. So much love to anybody else, even the people just like me that's only going to have 10 views. So I just wanted to pop this out there, because I've been doing promos that I was going to do this. I fucked up my AV on it. I lost the whole original Naught review I did. So this is me just putting out there, because I don't would have fucking missed the mark completely. And I'll get back to a longer version. But yes, I have hopes. I have, I'm optimistic about the future. I hope we get to see more and just go uphill from here. Deck 2 dealt, deck 3 to come. So we'll see, and peep back for the long versions, the full versions of what I've done in the past, for the new show coming. 60-second talk show will be the promos. The show is Scum and D.Villeny, because I'm D.Villeny. Scum and D.Villeny the Scum and D.Villeny pod, the Scum and D.Villeny show. I don't know yet, but much family love. Check me out, and you know, fucking like and subscribe. I gotta say all that bullshit. Like, subscribe, add channel, whatever. I'll have socials up, and I want to hear fucking y'all's comments too. I'm not by myself in this. You know, much family love. That's the Naught review. Hope to hear from y'all. And finally, I forgot to leave this little PS here. I know a lot of people are going to think, okay, so overall, what we really want to know is, what did you rate it? How would you rate the Naught? I would rate it 2 dicks up your butthole, because I don't believe in rating art or someone's artistic endeavors. You might not like something now, but again, you go back, it grows on you, and have a totally different feel about it, you know, 6 months to a year later. Remember, fucking M got 0 mics in the source. Fucking Tech 9 has never won a Grammy. So ratings, reviews, awards, it's all bullshit. If I have any criticism, if I have any rating, I would give it, if I had to, a sloppy blowjob. A good but sloppy blowjob, where at the end, right as you climax, right as you bust, she pulls it out and finishes with one of these. It's a build up, and the finish, the ending, really the last track, unfortunately, it doesn't stick the landing. It's what we call in the skateboarding or Tony Hawk Pro Skater world, it's a sloppy landing, aka a sloppy BJ. It's not bad. It still lands. Like I said, it accomplishes the assignment and does what it's supposed to do. It just wobbles there a little bit at the end, but still great, worth it for fans of the new deck and the old. Gives you a lot to look forward to. Okay, that's the end for real. Like, subscribe, bullshit. Scum and D.Villeny out. D-Villain for Scum and D.Villeny out.